In my opinion, and out of the proof I'll give in a few, if heaven had a favorite career or profession, it wouldn't be content creation, be politics, it even wouldn't be preaching. It would be farming. Welcome to Agriculture Through the Bible. My name is Salimo, the voice of agriculture, and this is AMA, Agriculture Made Attractive. In the Bible, over 100 verses talk about sowing and reaping. Jesus told more than 30 parables, and at least 20 of them were all about agriculture. All right? Now, let's talk through a few. One, the parable of the sower. That is Matthew chapter 13. That is the seed, the soil, and the heart conditions. Number two, the parable of the weeds. That is in Matthew 13, 24, 30. The parable of the mustard seed. Small beginnings with massive growth. That is Matthew 4, 30. The parable of the fig tree. You remember we talked about it the other day. Fruitfulness and judgment. That is in Luke 13, verse 6. The parable of the workers in the vineyard. That is labor, fairness, and grace. That is Matthew chapter 20, verse 1. And then the parable of the growing seed, where God works even when we can't see it. That is Mark chapter 4, verse 26. Now, this whole metaphor is not an accident. It is a whole divine that is designed to help us understand the journey of life. And if the journey of life is compared to agriculture, then I think the favorite profession in heaven. Anyway, let's even go deeper around it. When you talk about the famous people that we know from Isaac, Joseph, and all those people, who was in the agricultural sector? Isaac, Genesis 26, Isaac did a sowing in the famine, or during famine, during famine, and still reaped 100-fold. Boaz owned a barley field and became part of Jesus' bloodline. That is in Ruth chapter 2, when he married Ruth. Then we have Amos chapter 7, it talks about, chapter 7 verse 14, talks about the fig tree farmer who turned to be a prophet. And then Jesus ye mwenyewe, he calls himself a good shepherd and a vine. Those are agricultural titles, right? Aha, there we go. Now let's talk about the other side of God. There's a blessing and then there's a curse. Even curses are attached to agriculture. I feel like every time God had to give something that you will understand, even after they have written the Bible, we have left and it's us. They have left and now it's us understanding the Bible. It had to be the agricultural sector that was really, really, really put in place. Now let's talk about Genesis 3, verse 17. The ground itself was cursed because the man disobeyed. So the ground, kuchipua mimea, that is how the ground was. Deuteronomy 28, disobedience leads to drought, dust, and crop failure. Malachi 3:9, it says that if even withholding tithes brought pest infestation, but if you obey the promise, your crops will not be devoured. Then we go to Haggai. I know you guys don't even... Another day I posted about me reading Haggai and I was like, this is the toughest verse. First of all, I was shocked. Haggai was a man. Haggai chapter 1 verse 9, neglecting God's temple results to poor harvest. If you go through all these things, you start understanding that anytime agriculture is mentioned, you as an individual, even if you're not in that sector, you relate. Why? Because by the end of the day, everybody eats 2, 3, 4 meals a day. Here are a few things to understand. 1, God keeps showing up in the field and not just in the temple. Number 2, if you're farming, fishing, harvesting, processing, everything you're doing around the value chain, you're not behind. You are well aligned. You are not doing agribusiness. You are doing kingdom business, God's business. Okay? The AMA lesson of the day is that the Bible doesn't just include agriculture. It depends. For us to understand these things, agri had to be the example that was going to be used. So the Bible doesn't just include agriculture. It depends on it. From blessing to curses, from parables to prophecies, God used the land to teach eternal truths. These are truths that will be used by generations and generations, and they will relate because every person, even a toddler, the mother have to feed for them to, food have to be the first thing that connects us. Walk in your farm, walk in your agricultural value chain like your holy ground. You're not just feeding nations, you're echoing heaven's favorite story, heaven's favorite career, favorite profession. All right? So do it with some oomph, do it with some joy, do it with some knowledge and wisdom around. Do it so well that everybody who comes in touch with your food, we'll say, we'll get a manifestation of heaven, we'll get a knowledge about heaven, we'll get something about heaven. Yes. Thank you for watching. This is Ama, Agriculture Made Attractive. That was episode what of Agriculture Through the Bible. My name is Salimo, the voice of agriculture. See you again next Sunday. Yeah, yeah.